I'm Kelly Vaughn, and welcome everybody to Inside Indy. Today we have someone from CareSource, and we're going to be talking about housing for the underserved. And oh man, is that also important, especially anytime. And that's important, but especially in the midst of a pandemic, it is so very important. And joining us to tell us more about it is Amy Riegel, and she is CareSource Senior Housing Director. Welcome to Inside Indy, Amy.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Wow. You guys are involved in a very cool project that involves housing, providing housing to the underserved. And, that caught my attention because typically when I hear about insurance companies or not for profit, obviously you all are, but you just think of people are just taking money and grabbing money, but you guys are out there making things happen. So tell us what CareSource is doing.
Yes. So as a managed care entity that helps to serve the Medicaid population in Indiana, we made a decision about 1 year ago to take some of our investment portfolio and invest it back into the communities that we serve. And so at the time, we identified about $5 million of opportunities to invest in affordable housing within Indiana. And in the end, it will probably end up being closer to $7 million of investments that we make across the state of Indiana in helping to improve housing for individuals who are low income, individuals with complex healthcare needs, and or individuals who have been marginalized and are trying to enter into home ownership and trying to pursue wealth building opportunities in their life. So it's a very diverse way of investing in housing in a state that's very important to us and where we would like to help improve the overall health and well-being of our members.
Okay, so I have to follow with why? What makes you do it?
Yes. Well, we understand that the social determinants of health have a profound impact on our members. So as a company that is founded upon helping individuals have the greatest health and overall well-being, we know none of that's possible if a person doesn't know where they're going to lay their head at night, or if they're wondering how they're going to put food on the table, or they're living paycheck to paycheck. So addressing those social determinants of health is at the core of our organization. And that's why we decided, instead of just investing the dollars in bonds or other financial tools, that we would make a social investment that would help the communities and have a win-win-win type situation for the issue and our organization.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit and talk about CareSource. Explain to everybody who you are, what you do, and how you serve the community overall.
Yes, so CareSource is a nonprofit managed care entity that serves, as I said, the Medicaid population in Indiana. So we are the health insurance provider for individuals who are on Medicaid. And as a nonprofit, we are really focused on how we put people over profit and how we make sure that the services that we are providing are exactly what our members need. And so just as we might offer enhanced benefits such as prescription enhancements or rides, transportation to and from doctor's appointments, we also offer programs that help our members find employment so that they can move off Medicaid and onto employer-sponsored health care. We make investments into housing, and we connect with food banks and other resources to make sure that those everyday needs, such as healthy, nutritious food, are available to our members.
Wow, that is just awesome. I'm so impressed. So as far as creating affordable, supportive housing solutions in Indiana, could you break that down in terms of giving us, bringing it home, so to speak, how it might impact an individual? give us maybe you know a story or someone how this has benefited them.
Yes, great question. So one of the first investments that we have made in Indiana is with a group. The investment was with a group called the Finance Fund, and the Finance Fund was supporting Terabent. And Terabent is a houser that offers high quality housing opportunities for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so this is a population that often has very complex health needs, that has hopes and dreams of how they want to live independently. And in some cases, their parents or their caretakers may be aging themselves and no longer able to take care of them any longer, or they don't have all of the resources necessary to be able to care for the individual. The investment was able to help Terabent to grow and expand their portfolio to offer these housing opportunities to more individuals. These are single-family homes that are in neighborhoods where the individuals who live in the housing, they can go outside and, sit on the front porch, walk up and down the street, have conversations with neighbors, be close to the grocery store or other amenities, and really feel connected, not only to the others that they live with in their home or those who might come into their home to help them on a daily basis, but to the community around them. And what we see is when individuals have that communal living environment, it helps to improve their overall outlook on life and also their health outcomes. So this is a great example of a type of housing that can be hard to provide, but that's essential for a large group within our community.
Okay. So what are your thoughts, or what's been the impact as far as the pandemic goes? And is the need greater? And are there any shortages, whether they're rental properties or single family homes?
Oh my, has the pandemic had impact on so many parts of our lives, but housing is definitely an area where we're seeing an impact. One impact is that there is a shortage of affordable rental housing in Indiana, and not just in Indianapolis, but in the whole state of Indiana. There is a shortage, and we do need to create more units of housing and bring them online so that they are affordable to individuals. There's nowhere in the state of Indiana where an individual can be making minimum wage, working 40 hours a week, and be able to afford a 2-bedroom apartment. In some cases, people have to be working above 60 hours a week in order to afford that 2-bedroom apartment. So not only is there a lack of housing, but it's unaffordable. People are paying more than 50% of their income on rent, and that's not sustainable. So our investment helps to develop more affordable housing, to preserve the affordable housing that is out there, to provide and make sure that housing in some cases gets set aside for special groups, such as that IDD population that we were just talking about. But the other big factor that we saw during the pandemic is if you've gone out to try to buy a house lately, the prices have just skyrocketed for home ownership. And so instead of continuing to make that seem like the unattainable dream for so many, we really went out looking for opportunities that made it possible for individuals to purchase a home, but to purchase that home in a way where they start building equity in the home immediately. And so looking at great organizations and resources that are out in the community, how could we support those to help make that dream of home ownership a reality for more people?
Okay. Now we're just about out of time, but if folks have questions or want to know more about CareSource in general, or about this particular topic, who do they call, or is there a website, or how do they get in touch?
Yes. So they can go to www.caresource.com and find out more about the organization. You can also follow us or reach out to us via social media, whether that be Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and you can find us and reach out anytime, and we're happy to answer questions or provide more information.
Sounds good to me. Amy Riegel, CareSource Senior Housing Director. Thanks so much for coming on, and thanks for all that you all do at CareSource. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Kelly. It's been a great time. I appreciate it.
All right, and Inside Indy will continue after this.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you'll go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
And we're back here on Inside Indy. And as you know, COVID-19, the pandemic, has taken a toll on all of us. But there are certain groups of people we don't often think about who have their own set of struggles in the midst of the pandemic, especially mothers, parents with newborns who face challenges. And we think, oh, those things, we address those issues just like we normally do, not in the event of a pandemic. And here to talk about those challenges and some help for those who face those challenges is Dr. Camuel Wright. And you are the Vice President and Market Chief Medical Officer for CareSource, right?
That is correct.
Welcome to Inside Indy.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here with you today.
Now, when I got word about this and I saw CareSource, I'm going to be honest, I didn't know, I'd not heard of CareSource. So what is CareSource?
So CareSource is a multi-state medical health plan, and we cover many lives, over 2 million lives, in Medicaid, Marketplace, and Medicare Advantage programs. One thing that I feel makes us unique is that we not only address the medical needs of our members, but we also turn our attention to those social needs as well. Many times it's the social issues that create challenges for us and can oftentimes compete with some of those other things that we consider to be priorities, such as taking care of oneself. So at CareSource, we look at individuals from 360 degrees.
Okay, when you said social issues, for instance.
So for instance, we're talking food insecurity, employment challenges, housing challenges, trouble with clothing, child care, all of those factors that are part of day-to-day life, but can really be a barrier for some individuals. And so what we want to do is, number one, address that as a very important aspect of people's lives, and then put together individuals and programs and incentives and anything that we might be able to do to help bust through those barriers.
Okay, that's comforting to know. I love it. I love it. So now, in this particular case, you're doing something special regarding moms of neonatal intensive care unit babies.
That's correct.
Okay. So what's going on there?
Sure. So this was actually born out of a collaboration with some of our health providers. And in talking to some pediatric providers, they shared with us that one of the challenges that came to light during the pandemic is the need for families to make frequent visits back to the doctor's office with children, particularly those who had been recently released from the neonatal intensive care unit. It's obviously very important to keep a close eye on those infants. And one of the things that you really want to monitor is their growth. And so weight checks become very important to make sure that the baby is growing appropriately and thriving in its environment. And the way to do that is to measure its weight. Seems simple enough.
Right.
But if you think about it, we don't typically have scales in our homes that are appropriate to measure babies and to have that accuracy that you really want when you're making medical decisions.
Okay, so these babies are born prematurely, typically?
Most of them are. Not all of them, but the highest need is those babies who have been born premature or who maybe have another health condition that affects their growth, perhaps their digestion or their absorption of things.
And they're typically underweight.
And their pediatric provider really wants to keep a close eye on that to make sure that they are okay in their home environment. They told us, the providers, that if we could find a way to give these families scales, that would really be helpful, because the current situation is that the family has to come in once a week or so for weights. And as you can imagine, that would be burdensome for anyone, but certainly during the pandemic. We actually collaborated with one of our medical equipment providers to provide this service that's typically not reimbursed through Medicaid. But again, we saw the very clear need for it, so we decided to offer it as an enhanced benefit to our members.
Wow, very nice, very nice. So instead of that twice a week trip back to the hospital, then they can do it at home.
That's exactly right. So they can weigh the baby at home very easily and accurately and either call that information into their pediatrician, or that scale can be used in conjunction with a telehealth visit where you get some objective data and then have a conversation with your provider. So it can be used in a variety of fashions. The scale is theirs to keep, so it's not a rental. And so if they have future infants, they can also use that scale to measure the growth of those babies as well.
And maybe future babies aren't necessarily underweight, but you do like to know how much your baby weighs and how much they're growing, and kind of keeping an eye on that.
That's exactly right. And that might be a very sensitive indicator of something going wrong. So if families have that at their disposal, they may be able to better communicate with their provider.
Okay. Now, you partnered with Riley Hospital in this?
So the pediatricians at Riley were the first ones to speak to us about this need. So they were the ones that planted the seed, absolutely. And so we are very thankful for that. But this benefit is available to any of our providers statewide. All it requires is a doctor's order and a very, very simple form that is sent to the medical equipment provider. And the medical equipment provider takes it from there. So they will mail the scale to the families, and they will also help the family with any troubleshooting or technical issues that may arise.
Wow. So now, when you talk about it, any provider, that's a lot of scales.
It is potentially a lot of scales. Now, obviously, we want there to be a medical need for this.
Right.
So not every baby will require this intensive monitoring of their growth. But certainly, if a pediatrician feels that that's necessary, then we want this to be available for them.
Okay. So in weighing the baby,
being able to keep up with it, obviously, but what is the ultimate benefit of that in terms of as the baby develops?
So I think that there are a couple benefits. The first is, of course, establishing the well-being of the baby. The second is really making life easier for the families so that they don't have to come back and forth, shuffle other children and other responsibilities. And I think that there's a huge psychological benefit in being able to provide this for families so that they can have peace of mind that their baby is thriving at home. So that's really the benefit. We have engaged with the state in providing this benefit, and they've been very supportive. So we are happy to be able to do this for our patients.
Okay, well, we love it, and I'm sure the patients appreciate it.
I
So,
certainly
yeah.
hope so, and the feedback has been very positive.
Okay. So anything else that CareSource is doing or has done or is about to do that addresses your social concerns or impacts patients?
We have a variety of things that we're doing. The benefit, our newest benefit is driver's license reinstatement. So there are a very large portion of our Hoosier population that have their driver's license suspended. And oftentimes this is for failing to demonstrate insurance or other financial concerns. And we really want people to be back on the road if they're safe and able to find and maintain employment and take care of the needs of their family. So for our members who are eligible, we will offset up to $500 of the fines and fees associated with driver's license reinstatement. Again, one of those social needs that we have recognized and we want to address. The other really nice benefit I think we offer is expungement. So we have a very active CareSource reentry program. We have a dedicated team of individuals that help people reintegrate into society.
Wow.
And a criminal background can be a huge barrier to obtaining employment, housing, certifications, licensures, etc. So again, for those members who are eligible, we will help offset the fees associated with expungement so that these individuals can have the very best opportunity to reintegrate into society and to do well.
Wow, that is really amazing. I've not heard of anything like that in terms of really getting, to the nitty-gritty of what meeting the needs of patients beyond the physical needs.
Well, that's one of the reasons that I'm so proud to work with CareSource, because I think that we really do have our finger on the pulse of those again, social determinants of health, those priorities that can oftentimes be a distraction, if you will, to taking the very best care of yourself. So we meet our members where they are, and we really try to help them achieve the very best lives that they can.
Wow, that's really impressive. I got
Thank you.
goosebumps. That's pretty cool.
Thank you so much.
So whether it is a healthcare provider or a person who is who's under your plan,
Yes.
How would they take advantage of that or some of your other programs?
So
Who
they
would
can
contact?
always contact member services. And if they're a CareSource member, we will certainly direct them to the appropriate staff that can help talk to them about these programs. If they're not yet a CareSource member, they can talk to FSSA and submit a Medicaid application, and they can choose CareSource, and we'd be happy to take care of them.
I bet you would. I love it. And you guys take good care.
We absolutely do our best. We do
of
our
your patients,
best.
so I love it. Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming on and enlightening us. And folks, we encourage you to take advantage of what they're offering. Dr. Camuel Wright, who is CareSource Vice President and Market Chief Medical Officer. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk this afternoon.
Okay, appreciate you coming on and appreciating what CareSource is doing for its patients.
Excellent.
And we appreciate you for watching Inside Indy. I'm Kelly Vaughn, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Want to make a difference in this crazy world we live in? Habitat for Missions has a way you can do just that. Habitat for Missions buys houses like yours. and then uses volunteer tradesmen to renovate, update, and prepare it for sale. Once the property is sold, 90% of the profit will be donated to a Christian ministry here in the United States or somewhere in the world. Why should you sell your house to Habitat? Well, there are many benefits. HFM makes a cash offer for your house as is. What's that mean? There's no need to repair, paint, or clean your house. You don't have to put up with house showings or open houses. You don't have to pay any realtor's commission. Just remember, 90% of the house sale profit goes to Christian ministries.
I sold my house to Habitat for Missions.
We sold our house to Habitat for Missions.
Sell your house to Habitat for Missions and help us change our world.
I have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day,
one man's dream of racial equity and harmony, unity, seeing people as people, created in the image of God, is central to the Christian message. Acts records, "From one man he made every nation of men." God did this so men would seek him. Celebrate the creation, celebrate the vision, and celebrate each other as God celebrates you.
With this faith, I will go out with you and transform dark yesterdays into bright tomorrows. With this faith, we will be able to achieve this new day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing with the Negroes in the spiritual of all, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty. We are free at last.
They say you don't have to be so strong, but this is my mother, my purpose. Strength is not optional. See, I lift her now like she raised me then, so I know my strength is super, but I'm still human.
Oh, look who's here.
You've messed up your son's haircut. Do you try to fix it? Work with what you've got? Or show solidarity?
Thank you, babe.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.